Hello and welcome to today's episode. Going to talk about is collecting action figures still fun to collect? Now, of course, I've seen a lot of videos of collectors over the years on YouTube, and I enjoy collecting whether it's one type of figure, Batman, Turtles, Star Wars, or a bit of everything, Harry Potter figures. And, that's pretty good, you can still, collecting them and that. But when you try to buy figures in Australia, they're a bit pricey. And when you go to Big W, you walk down the aisle and you look at the figures, and it's not what it used to be. Where a few years ago, you'd walk down the aisle in the toy section part to get the figures. And you used to have a big selection, right? But nowadays, no, that's not the case. They seem to have that in that aisle, in that part, everything all squashed in. And where they used to have the 3.75 Star Wars figures, they had all other figures, they don't seem to have those ones. Now, they've got the bigger sizes. They look like the Star Wars Black Series ones. And they're selling them for $49. Now, those ones are only worth about $15. And then you've got, with the turtle figures, the show and the movies, they're pretty good, right? Now, the Turtles figures I'm talking about is the ones from that movie where April was short, fat, and black. Now, I've got nothing against black people, nothing against them, nothing against people that are, they're a bit fat, that have trouble losing weight. Nothing. I've got nothing against all that, right? But they didn't need to have the character swap the colour. And of course, what I'm talking about with that hasn't sort of anything to do with collecting action figures. But the Turtles, I'll get back to the Turtles. When they brought those ones out, they also brought out a mutant giant fly that was like all different parts of animals and that. When actually it was a part human, part fly. When it drank the ooze, it changed into a great big giant mutant, and seriously, it was absolutely ridiculous. A ridiculous mutant. Now, I saw the figure of that, and it looks like all they've done is just stuck bits and pieces of the other different animals that they've taken off and put on this mutant, and it's it's the most ridiculous or stupid figure I've ever seen. And it cost $49. Now, of course, when I'm able to, if I can, when I have a chance to, I'll get and I'll do a video and show you all. I don't know of anyone that's actually seen it in the stores, but it's a waste of a figure, and the money of $49. Now, the turtle figures, they cost about $12. And what I cannot work out is why the turtle figures are $12, even when they first come out in the store, $12. Then you look at the Star Wars figures, 3.75 figures, $25. Now, don't you think that the Star Wars, those figures should be round about $12, $15? But no, they're selling them for nearly, well, $25, and but they don't have the 3.75 figures in Big W anymore. I mean, I don't know about Target, but if you go to Kmart and you go over to the section where all the figures are, they have them in there. They have some of the 3.75 figures in there for $15. And then you've got ones that their legs don't bend or arms, and they're about $10. Right? Now, they're not bad figures. Not bad figures at all. And I just think that with the prices, it's ridiculous, because if you have a look at what people that do videos and they live in America, they go into stores there, and the prices for the figures there are reasonable prices, cheap, and they've got huge selection, and not in Australia. And the other type of figures, which is the Harry Potter figures, I think it was about 4 years ago, when they brought the Harry Potter figures out, and they had the Harry Potter dolls, right? They looked like the characters in the Harry Potter movies. Then, years later, 3 or 4 years after, they bring out figures of Harry Potter, and one of the figures, which I'm just going to describe to you on this podcast, they don't even look like them. Now, they're as though they're knockoffs, because they look like little kids that they don't even look like the characters. You know, like baby faces and all that. And I was going to do a review on this on a video, and I'll show you about it. Now, of course, it only cost about $5, and it was in the reject shop, right? But the thing is, it's as though they're just bringing some of these figures and that into Australia, that they make out that oh they're maybe they're legit figures and all this, but they look like knockoffs. Even some of the Transformer figures, some of them look like knockoffs, and yet they're charging more for them. And you know, and I'm back. So I had to go and pick something up. Um, yeah, they look like knockoffs. I mean, the quality of the figures don't look as good as they used to. Um, and I think they need to have more of a selection than just it all squashed in that aisle. Um, even with people that collect Lego, they're all different. I've seen people where they have a room full of like a Lego city, and or they've got Lego all on shelves and that, and that's pretty good. They look really good on display and that, but here in Australia, they the cost it's absolutely ridiculous. And there's one thing I'm going to mention, which doesn't sort of have anything to do with collecting figures, action figures, and that. With the cost of living, the supermarkets, you've got the supermarkets. I might do maybe a podcast or something about that. But something needs to be done about the prices. You're a collector, and you go in and you see what figures and that are out, and you think, oh yeah, those, but you don't see that much anymore. I mean, ones in America, you see them going on through different stores, and there's a huge selection. So I just thought I'd talk about that because collecting figures, our action figures, all different things, even Lego, whatever you want you collecting. Um, I find it sort of sometimes sort of hard to try and collect figures because they're just the price. Um, so I thought I'd just do an episode of that. That's the episode of is collecting still? Is it still? Hang on, is collecting action figures still fun to collect? I just thought I'd do that an episode on that because I've even there's even ones in Australia that they're pretty good people. There's some of them that are good, really good blokes that collect figures. Um, some that they collect all different figures. The Star Wars, all the figures, Star Wars, all the Star Wars stuff, and I don't know whether they still whether they collect them or they've changed. Um, they've sort of changed their channel slightly. but it's sort of a bit, as I said, a bit pricey. Um, and usually you find there's like either knockoffs or some of the figures, the quality. Now, a lot of over the years, I've noticed that there's figures that I've able to get. The quality of figures are good, um, but then there's other type of figures like there's some Star Wars Black Series figures. Um, the the Han Solo, the figure that's from the when, Solo movie when Han Solo was um, starting out and before he ended up being with Chewie on the Millennium Falcon. He doesn't stand up because the way the bottom of the shoes is made. It's not made properly. It's not made properly at all, and it won't stand up. So I've got it in the box. Then there's another figure that there's a stormtrooper that's a bit dirtied up, and when you try to bend his arms and his legs, you have to be careful because you think, oh, he might end up snapping because the quality of some of the figures aren't good, and then there's a quality of other figures that are. And I just think that when they're going to make figures, whether it's a Star Wars figures or any type of figures, they've got to make sure the quality's good. Because if the quality's not good and it's very poor, then it's a waste of money and a waste of time making them when they need to make sure that the quality is good. So I thought I'd talk about that. That's on the today's episode. If you want to do a talk about this on a StreamYard, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll let you know when I do a live stream on StreamYard. You come on the panel and talk about it if you want to. But yeah, so anyway, this is episode of Is Collecting Action Figures Still Fun to Collect? Not It's not just action figures, it's all other different figures, even Lego and all that. So that was the episode today. Take care, and bye now.